July 2018, going to Peru for the first time. Yvonne, Coy, Dane. 3 weeks for Coy and Dane and 1 week for Yvonne. We're very excited to go there. Lots happened. Basically, first week we went to Cusco, and then we did the Inca Jungle Trek with Yvonne, went to Machu Picchu, did whitewater rafting and zip lining and hiking and mountain biking. This was on the hike on the first day of the Inca Jungle Trek, where we stopped and halfway up the mountain on the old Inca Trail, there's indigenous people living there. This one house, they had parrots and monkey, and so we stopped there. They also had their own coffee, their own Inca rum, uh, moonshine that they made. So we hung out there. That was a good time. And then the next day we had our Machu Picchu day, which was really long. We got up for breakfast at 5 a.m. We ended up hiking over 30 kilometers that day. We had to hike in along the railway line 10 kilometers each way, then about 1,000 feet up to Machu Picchu, hiked around there, hiked back down, hiked back out. It was dark by the time we got back, finished the hike, and then another 45 to 1 hour van shuttle to Loki Hostel. So really long day. But then it wasn't even over that night. Well, we got back to the hostel about 9 o'clock at night, and then we put our stuff down. Then we walked down the gravel road to about 500 meters to these beautiful hot springs.
Slowly corner in the video.
These are the views hiking up to Machu Picchu after following the rail line, which was following the river so flat for 10 kilometers. Now we have to hike up about 1,000 feet. This is about midway up. Beautiful views. We were lucky that it was clear. Now we are just getting to Machu Picchu, and it was beautiful. And once again, as I said, lucky that it was a nice clear day. Most people take the train to Machu Picchu rather than hike, so when we got there, it wasn't actually that busy. And when we were hiking down from Machu Picchu, we didn't see anyone. It was very quiet because it was later in the afternoon. And then hiking back along the railway line, we saw no one. And by the time we were done, the last hour hiking out, it was dark. Now we are back at Loki Hospital.
Coy just won a free shot at the Loki Lodge by hitting the basketball. So he's got to take it. Woo! Good job, Coy. Way to go. Look and smile.
After the Inca Jungle Trek in Machu Picchu, we did Rainbow Mountain, which is almost, I think it's like 16,500 feet to the top. You start around 15,000 feet. It's only 1,500 feet elevation, but you're up high, so it still is a fairly difficult on your breathing. It's beautiful, so that was an interesting day. We had to get up at 4:30 in the morning to do it, so it was a long day, especially since we had just gotten back to Cusco from the Inca Jungle Trek that night, evening, probably around 9:30 or 10 at night. Another interesting point to the Rainbow Mountain Day, Cusco has very narrow streets, and our tour van got stuck trying to make a corner in the morning, so we were delayed for an hour getting unstuck. After Rainbow Mountain, we made it back to Cusco about 9 o'clock at night. Very next morning, we took the first flight from Cusco to Lima, and Coy and I caught a bus to Huaraz, which was an 8-hour bus ride, so that was a long bus day. And then we're going to plan our mountain climb to Pisco Mountain. The Pisco Mountain climb was a 3-day, 2-night event. The first day we hiked to Laguna 69, which we just saw pictures of. It was a beautiful day. The next night,
Almost
we
midnight
hiked
here.
to Pisco Base
About
Camp,
to eat breakfast.
and then we got up at
And then we're gonna start
midnight,
the
had
climb
some
for Pisco
quick
Mountain.
breakfast, some hot cereal,
Sleep
some tea,
wasn't
and then
great.
we started the Pisco
Then
Mountain
hardly
climb
sleep at all.
up to the top,
And he kept squishing
which
me
is
on
like
my side.
18,500
My
feet,
leg
almost
hurt because of
6,000
all the
meters.
candies and zippers.
After Pisco Mountain, we made it back to the town of Juarez about 9 p.m. at night, and the very next morning we started our 8-day Y-Wash trek. So we got in a van, went for 4 hours, made it to our first camp, where members of our Y-Wash trek are 8 Israelis and 4 Europeans, and our guides. This was a very beautiful and rough 8-day Y-Wash trek. We went over passes every day over 16,000 feet, or most of the time over 16,000 feet, but every day we were over 15,000 feet, and we usually slept around 14,000 feet. Beautiful glacial lakes, beautiful mountain passes. Lost over 10 pounds as we didn't have much food to eat, since we were so far away from anything. There was donkeys that carried some food, but it was mainly buns and tea. We did not have very much else to eat. We had some snow days. We had some warm days. We had an interesting toilet situation throughout, since we're in the middle of nowhere most of the time. There wasn't much of a place to go to the bathroom, but that just kind of made it more interesting. The trekking group was very fun, as well as the guides and the cook. When you spend 8 days together, you need to be able to get along with the people that you're trekking with and working with, and it'll definitely be an
Day 4
experience
morning,
that
snowed last night. The stuff in our tent got soaked because of condensation. It's gonna be an interesting day.
Coy and I were lucky that neither of us got any altitude sickness when we did Pisco Mountain or during the Y-Wash trek. Some of the people had some altitude sickness for the first few days, but then they got over it. Your body slowly gets used to it as well. The cocoa tea really helps with the altitude. Cocoa tea is also used as an appetite suppressant, which was really good since we didn't have very much food on the hike. It's also like a caffeine, so it gives you extra energy. Probably the most beautiful pass was San Antonio Pass, which was up at 5,000 meters, so about 16,600 feet. And what you're going to be seeing in a second are pictures of San Antonio Pass. The view you're looking at from San Antonio Pass is where the real life events of the movie Touching the Void took place. It's where a climber fell into a crevice. They thought that he would not survive. His rope was cut and he crawled out of the crevice a few days later. About the second last night of the trip, while we were eating our soup and buns, Coy got a really bad bleeding nose and blood was just going everywhere, and it took a long time for it to stop. But eventually it stopped, but it was a pretty interesting event, and we all kind of joked around about that. Other trekkers thought Coy wasn't going to finish his food because there's so much blood all over the place, but as soon as he got it to stop a little bit, he continued to eat everything to everyone's amazement.